Today we're going to address the question, do you have a moody spouse? And I'm not talking about, the occasional bad moods that we all get in because of stressors at work or annoyances with kids or just a whole bunch of stuff going on in a period of time, or you've been sick with the flu or something. But I am talking about something that's more pervasive and something that's a little bit more cyclical. So to define moodiness, what I mean is given to frequent changes in mood, temperamental. Maybe some better descriptions are sullen, gloomy, periods of depression and irritability. And again, a pattern that's cyclical, that's ongoing, that's pretty consistent over time, that these mood swings kind of come into play. And so the question then is, so what do you do if you have a moody spouse? So the first thing is you must start with empathy. If you want to have any success in kind of conquering the moodiness piece in the marriage, start with empathy. Now, what I mean by that, let me tell you from 1 Peter 3, verse 8, I think it's so good. These words are so descriptive of how we should treat our spouse. Finally, all of you have unity of mind, sympathy, brotherly love, a tender heart, and a humble mind. So what Peter's saying there is unity of mind. Being empathetic means being on the same page with your spouse, being sympathetic for the struggle, having love and a tender heart, that you don't come to your spouse and say, buck up, get over it, what's your problem? But you do say, I want to understand where you're coming from. I want to get on the same page with you. That'll go so far in building a bridge with your spouse who's struggling with moods. So ask questions for clarity. Understand what's going on. Is it stressors with kids? Is it work? Is it schooling? Is it friendships? Or is it just anxiety or thoughts in your own mind that you just have a hard time with that brings these cyclical patterns of moodiness? Be honest about the changes that you see. I think this is such an important point, and especially to the men. If you have wives that struggle with moodiness, it'll be so much better for you to address that in an honest, loving fashion, coming from a place of empathy, than to ignore it and hope that it goes away. Because at the end of the day, that'll only work for so long, and then eventually you're going to start reacting to the moodiness in anger, in frustration, in annoyance, in maybe saying things in a moment of frustration of, can't you just get over it and move on from whatever this mood is that you're in? And that isn't coming from a place of love or empathy. So you do much better to find a way to be honest about what you see in the moodiness piece. And then the whole point of that is to get to a place of being a part of a solution. So if you're going to be empathetic with your spouse and try and understand what their struggles are all about, then find a way that you can be part of the solution. If it's the wife complaining that she's overwhelmed with life and parenting and taking care of the house, then husband, find a way to do more chores. Find a way to give your wife more breaks. If it's the husband saying there's just so much pressure at work and then I come home and you expect all these things of me and I never get time to just decompress, then wife, find ways that you can support giving him time of rest and peace and a time to unplug. The point is, find a way to be part of the solution as you're asking the questions of to understand and to get on the same page. Now, to the moody spouse, what's really important for you in this, if you want to be healthy, if you want your marriage to be healthy, battling and struggling through moodiness, then don't be defensive. If your spouse is coming with truly an empathetic ear and really wants to get on the same page with you and is coming from a place of love, then don't be defensive. Be honest. Do the best you can to put your feelings and your thoughts together in a way that your spouse can understand, and be open to the idea that professional help might be super beneficial in this process, especially if you feel like the moods, when they come on, it kind of takes you out of the game of life and you can't function in any capacity. Don't be opposed to getting professional help. And then the last point I want to make to the moody spouse, don't use the moodiness as an excuse to mistreat. That's so important. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." So even though there might be really good reasons why you struggle with emotions and moods, that doesn't give an excuse to mistreat your spouse. So take some time today as a couple. Talk about the issue of moodiness. Ask some honest questions of one another. Use this video as your springboard and really turn the struggle of moodiness in one of you or both of you into something that could be for the strengthening of your marriage, where you can really come together. And again, like I said, understand one another with being unified in your mind and in love and a tender heart, and then move towards solutions, whatever those need to be for you, and let it be something that strengthens you and doesn't pull you apart.